Have you ever realized that no one really cares as much as you think they do? A Stoic exploration of freedom, self-reliance, and inner authority. There comes a moment, quiet, sharp, and unexpectedly liberating, when you realize a truth that at first feels almost cruel. No one cares about your struggles as much as you think they do. Not about the mistakes you replay at 3 a.m., not about the fears that coil in your chest, not about the dreams you keep postponing or the wounds you hide behind a smile. At first, this truth hurts. It shakes your sense of importance, pulls away illusions, and leaves you briefly exposed. But then, if you allow yourself to truly see it, it becomes one of the most empowering realizations in your entire life. Because the moment you accept that the world is not watching you as closely as you imagine, you stop performing. You stop begging for approval. You stop waiting for someone to validate your existence or praise your suffering. Instead, you begin to reclaim everything you unknowingly gave away. You take back your time. You take back your emotional energy. You take back your sense of inner worth. This is the beginning of Stoic freedom. The freedom Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus wrote about with unwavering clarity. These men understood that the chains binding most people are invisible. They are woven from expectations, assumptions, imagined judgments, and emotional dependence on others' attention. 1. The death of expectation, the birth of inner strength. If there is one silent force that weakens more people than hardship itself, it is expectation. We expect people to support us. We expect others to recognize the effort we put into our work. We expect the world to reward us for our good intentions. We expect fairness, reciprocity, loyalty, understanding. And when these expectations collapse, as they inevitably do, we feel betrayed. But the Stoics warn us, expectation is a self-inflicted wound. It makes you dependent on forces outside your control. It ties your emotional state to the behavior of strangers. It guarantees disappointment because reality rarely matches the story in your head. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "When you are offended at someone's fault, turn to yourself and study your own failings." The truth is simple. The more you expect from others, the more fragile you become. The moment you release expectation, you reclaim your power. You stop needing applause to feel valuable. You stop needing validation to know you're on the right path. You stop being devastated when others fail to meet your imagined standard. Expectation dies, and in its place rises a new inner authority. 2. Silence becomes your teacher. The mind awakens when the world stops speaking. Silence can feel terrifying at first. When people stop checking on you, when no one applauds your victories, when the world does not rush to comfort you, you may experience a profound sense of abandonment. But the Stoics insist silence is not a punishment. It is preparation. It is the training ground of the soul. Marcus Aurelius wrote entire books to himself in silence. He did not seek the opinions of a crowd. He sought the truth in the echo of his own thoughts. Epictetus taught that the wise person does not depend on external noise to confirm internal worth. Seneca wrote that silence sharpens perception and reveals what is essential. In silence, you learn to guide yourself. You learn to comfort yourself. You learn to strengthen yourself without needing others to play the hero. Silence becomes your mentor. Stillness becomes your discipline. Self-reflection becomes your most powerful weapon. 3. Detach from being seen, the freedom of not performing for the world. From childhood, We are conditioned to crave visibility. Approval from parents, grades from teachers, social validation from peers. We grow dependent on the gaze of others. But Stoicism exposes a painful truth. The need to be seen is a trap. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The opinion of 10,000 men is of no value if none of them know what they are talking about." Being seen is not the same as being valued. Being admired is not the same as being fulfilled. Being visible is not the same as being free. Epictetus warned that improvement often happens in obscurity. You grow most when you are not performing for applause. You gain strength when your efforts are detached from recognition. When you detach from the need to be seen, you become harder to be manipulated, because others cannot control you by giving or withholding approval. You become more authentic, because you live according to your values, not the expectations of spectators. You become stronger, because your worth is rooted in virtue, not in visibility. 4. Rejection is redirection, not a verdict, but a correction. Rejection is one of the most misunderstood human experiences. People interpret rejection as proof of inadequacy, as a judgment on their worth. But Stoicism insists rejection is neutral. You interpret it as a wound. Marcus Aurelius said, "Choose not to be harmed, and you won't feel harmed." Rejection is information. It tells you where your energy doesn't belong. It shows you the path not meant for you. It closes doors that were never aligned with your future. Seneca taught that setbacks are training for the mind. Epictetus taught that no event can truly hurt you unless your judgment gives it permission. The truth is liberating. Rejection does not diminish you, it redirects you. Every closed door is a compass. Every no is a boundary protecting your destiny from misalignment. Every disappointment is an opportunity to choose a better path. 5. Self-reliance is real freedom, the fortress of the independent mind. Most suffering comes from dependence on others, dependence on their approval, dependence on their consistency, dependence on their care. But the moment you stop outsourcing your peace, you stop being fragile. Marcus Aurelius observed that we love ourselves more than anyone else, yet we value others' opinions above our own. This contradiction weakens us. Self-reliance is not isolation. It is the refusal to tie your emotional stability to external forces. When you build inner strength, you can love others without clinging to them. You can accept help without needing it to survive. You can face life without collapsing under uncertainty. Your peace becomes your own. Your purpose becomes clear. Your strength becomes unshakable. 4. Rejection is redirection, not a verdict on your worth. Most people interpret rejection as a declaration of inadequacy. A closed door feels like a personal insult. A message left unseen feels like a judgment. A failed opportunity feels like a declaration from the universe, you are not enough. But this interpretation is not truth. It is a story your mind creates in a moment of vulnerability. Stoicism invites you to rewrite that story. Marcus Aurelius taught that the mind is always more dangerous than the event itself. You do not suffer because someone walked away. You suffer because you told yourself that their absence means you lack value. Rejection is neutral. Interpretation is what hurts. Stoics reframe rejection in a radically empowering way. What turns away is not meant for your path. What closes is making space for alignment. What exits is protecting you from misdirection. Rejection becomes a compass, not a wound. Epictetus said that you do not wish for events to go as you desire. Wish instead for them to unfold exactly as they do. He meant that life is not sabotaging you. It is guiding you. Think of every rejection you've ever faced. That person who didn't choose you, that company that didn't hire you, that friend who drifted away, that plan that didn't unfold. Years later, you often see the truth. Those losses were liberations in disguise. Rejection prunes your path, the way a gardener trims a tree, cutting away what weakens you to make room for stronger growth. This is why Stoics respond to rejection not with despair, but with redirection. What now becomes possible because this door closed? Rejection forces clarity. It strengthens focus. It exposes where your energy does not belong. And in this clarity, you discover a deeper truth. You are not owed acceptance from anyone. Your worth is not diminished simply because someone else could not see it. The wrong places will reject you. The right places will not need convincing. To live this lesson daily, when someone ignores you, redirect. When a plan collapses, refine direction. When you feel unchosen, choose yourself. Rejection is never the final chapter unless you stop turning pages. It is life's way of nudging you toward the chapters written for you. 5. Self-reliance is the final form of freedom. A person who needs constant reassurance will never feel safe. A person who depends on applause will always feel insecure. A person who waits for rescue will always feel trapped. Stoicism calls this condition what it truly is: fragility disguised as hope. When Marcus Aurelius reflected on human weakness, he pointed to a painful paradox. We love ourselves more than others, yet we value their opinions above our own. Self-reliance frees you from this contradiction. It does not mean isolation or coldness. To the Stoics, self-reliance means building such inner stability that no external force can collapse you. You may welcome support, but you are not dependent on it. You may accept kindness, but you do not crave it. You may appreciate help, but you know you can survive without it. This is real freedom, not needing others to regulate your emotional weather. Seneca wrote that the greatest prison is to tie your peace to things that shift. Fortune shifts, people shift, approval shifts, even love shifts. If your sense of worth rests on these things, your peace will always be fragile. Stoicism teaches you to build your foundation within: your judgment, your choices, your discipline, your principles, your inner voice. These are the only things the world cannot touch. Epictetus told his students to make their well-being unstealable. Think of that, a state where no insult, abandonment, or failure can collapse you, because the source of your stability lives within your control. Self-reliance is not a rejection of humanity. It is the recognition that no one else can carry your soul for you. And when you master this,
something beautiful happens. You become easier to love because you are no longer a burden. You are no longer asking others to fill voids they didn't create. You show up whole, not begging, not demanding, not clinging. You become someone others trust because you trust yourself. To practice self-reliance daily. Solve problems before asking for help. Sit with discomfort instead of escaping it. Build habits that increase internal strength. Speak to yourself with authority, not doubt. The one who relies on themselves becomes unbreakable. 5. Self-reliance is the final form of freedom. A person who needs constant reassurance will never feel safe. A person who depends on applause will always feel insecure. A person who waits for rescue will always feel trapped. Stoicism calls this condition what it truly is: fragility disguised as hope. When Marcus Aurelius reflected on human weakness, he pointed to a painful paradox. We love ourselves more than others, yet we value their opinions above our own. Self-reliance frees you from this contradiction. It does not mean isolation or coldness. To the Stoics, self-reliance means building such inner stability that no external force can collapse you. You may welcome support, but you are not dependent on it. You may accept kindness, but you do not crave it. You may appreciate help, but you know you can survive without it. This is real freedom, not needing others to regulate your emotional weather. Seneca wrote that the greatest prison is to tie your peace to things that shift. Fortune shifts. People shift. Approval shifts. Even love shifts. If your sense of worth rests on these things, your peace will always be fragile. Stoicism teaches you to build your foundation within. Your judgment, your choices, your discipline, your principles, your inner voice. These are the only things the world cannot touch. Epictetus told his students to make their well-being unstealable. Think of that, a state where no insult, abandonment, or failure can collapse you, because the source of your stability lives within your control. Self-reliance is not a rejection of humanity. It is the recognition that no one else can carry your soul for you. And when you master this, something beautiful happens. You become easier to love because you are no longer a burden. You are no longer asking others to fill voids they didn't create. You show up whole, not begging, not demanding, not clinging. You become someone others trust because you trust yourself. To practice self-reliance daily. Solve problems before asking for help. Sit with discomfort instead of escaping it. Build habits that increase internal strength. Speak to yourself with authority, not doubt. The one who relies on themselves becomes unbreakable. 6. Privacy protects your power. In modern culture, we are taught to expose everything. Our successes, our failures, our wounds, our goals, our heartbreaks. But exposure is not empowerment. Exposure is dilution. The more of yourself you scatter publicly, the less of yourself remains concentrated and potent. Stoicism warns against this modern hunger for
When you finally realize that the world owes you nothing, that people are wrapped in their own lives, and that waiting for external validation is the fastest road to disappointment, something profound happens. You begin to transform. Not into a colder person, not into a detached hermit, but into someone who owns themselves fully. Part 3 is about this transformation, about rising from the illusions that once weakened you and stepping into a life guided not by the eyes of others, but by the strength of your own character. This final section explores the 4 highest Stoic pillars of freedom and personal power: emotional sovereignty, inner authority, virtue as the only true compass, the courage to live your own life. These are the principles that Marcus Aurelius carried into war, that Epictetus used to rise from slavery into mastery, and that Seneca used to build a mind that even death could not intimidate. Let us begin. 1. Emotional sovereignty, mastering the one kingdom you truly rule. People spend their entire lives trying to control things that are not theirs: the opinions of others, the loyalty of friends, the admiration of crowds, the fairness of the world. They burn their energy on impossibilities and then wonder why they feel powerless. The Stoics saw this clearly. Epictetus taught that there is only one domain we truly rule: our judgments, our interpretations, our emotions. Everything else is foreign territory. Most people never learn this, and so they suffer endlessly. But when you claim sovereignty over your inner world, everything changes. Insults lose their power. Rejection loses its sting. Disappointment becomes a passing cloud, not a catastrophe. Anxiety becomes a messenger, not a master. Emotional sovereignty does not mean suppressing emotions. It means understanding them before acting. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Once you internalize this truth, you stop being a victim of circumstances. You stop being manipulated by moods. You stop being controlled by other people's unpredictability. Instead, you become something extremely rare: a person who feels fully, yet remains rooted; a person who bends but does not break; a person whose inner peace cannot be stolen. This is not coldness. This is clarity. This is strength. And it becomes the foundation on which a liberated life is built. 2. Inner authority. The courage to trust your own judgment. Most people live under the dictatorship of external voices. What will they think? What will they say? What if they don't approve? This mental prison is subtle yet devastating. It kills dreams. It suffocates authenticity. It makes a person live as a shadow of themselves. But Stoicism teaches the opposite path: inner authority. This is the power of trusting your own mind, your own values, your own compass. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, "The opinion of others is a noise, not a guide." Seneca warned that the crowd is often wrong, and that the wise must be willing to walk alone rather than walk with many into foolishness. Inner authority does not mean stubbornness. It means grounded independence. It means evaluating advice but not surrendering your judgment to it. Listening to opinions but not building your identity around them. Considering criticisms but not being shaped by them. The world tries to mold you, but the Stoic molds himself. And once you develop inner authority, you become immune to manipulation, social pressure, fear of judgment, emotional blackmail, the need to impress. When your life is guided by your own reason instead of the approval of the crowd, you enter a new level of freedom. a freedom few people ever taste.
3. Virtue as the only true compass, the return to what cannot be taken. The modern world measures value through vanishing metrics: status, success, visibility, praise, noise. But these are unstable currencies. Time erodes all of them. The Stoics knew this deeply. They understood that the only thing you truly own, the only thing death cannot erase, the only thing the world cannot steal, is virtue. Virtue in Stoic philosophy is not moral perfection. It is inner alignment. It is the commitment to live with wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. These 4 pillars form the backbone of the Stoic ethical life. When your decisions are guided by virtue, not vanity, you become unshakable. A person who pursues wealth can be broken by poverty. A person who pursues fame can be broken by obscurity. A person who pursues approval can be broken by criticism. A person who pursues pleasure can be broken by discomfort. But a person who pursues virtue, nothing can break them. Because their measure of success is internal, self-contained, unaffected by the world's chaos. Marcus Aurelius faced war, disease, betrayal, and death. But his writings remain calm, steady, disciplined. Why? Because his compass was virtue, not reputation, not praise, not victory. He wrote, "Just that you do the right thing. The rest does not matter." This is Stoic greatness. Not glamour, not recognition, but moral strength, steadiness, self-governance. Virtue is the one treasure the world cannot corrupt. And once you commit to it, you live with a clarity that nothing external can disturb. 4. The courage to live your own life, beyond fear, beyond comparison, beyond noise. The greatest tragedy is not death. The greatest tragedy is a life unlived. Most people merely exist. They follow the script written by others. They chase dreams not their own. They fear disappointing expectations they never agreed to. This is not living. This is drifting. The Stoics called for something bolder, a life of intentional action, guided by reason, aligned with purpose. This requires courage, the rarest courage of all. The courage to disappoint others when necessary. The courage to walk a path no one else understands. The courage to say no when the world demands yes. The courage to be misunderstood. The courage to choose long-term meaning over short-term comfort. Seneca asked, "How long will you wait before you demand the best for yourself? Not the best from the world, not the best from others, but the best from yourself." The Stoic does not wait for the perfect moment. He does not postpone life. He does not live through the eyes of the crowd. He builds, he acts, he chooses. He understands that life is short and fragile, and that wasting it on fear, doubt, or validation is the greatest mistake a human can make. When you summon the courage to live by your own judgment, guided by virtue, anchored in emotional sovereignty, you become something exceedingly rare. A free human being. Not free in theory, not free in words, free in action, free in identity, free in purpose. That is the highest Stoic achievement, and it is available to anyone willing to walk the path. The final reminder: you need no permission to become who you are meant to be. As Part 3 closes, one truth stands above all. Your life is yours. Your mind is yours. Your worth is yours. Your path is yours. Not the world's, not the crowd's, not the critics, not the past's. You are no longer required to prove yourself, to perform for attention, to beg others to understand you, to carry everyone's expectations, to stay small so others feel comfortable, to seek validation to feel alive. You owe only one allegiance, to the strength, wisdom, and integrity within you. And once you choose to live from that place, everything becomes clearer. Solitude becomes fuel. Silence becomes wisdom. Rejection becomes redirection. Obscurity becomes peace. Self-reliance becomes freedom. Virtue becomes purpose. This is the Stoic life. Quiet, strong, steady, untouchable. And now, you begin it.